Excuse me, if you would please stand and help us recite the national anthem. How about we do the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now call the meeting to order. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We'll start with approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any concerns or issues with the agenda that you want to have addressed? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve.
I will second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. With regard to the consent agenda, anyone have any concerns with regard to the minutes? How about the warrants in the amount of $102,574.67?
Yeah, I've got a question on those.
Okay. Let's just go ahead and go to that then.
Okay. The very last line on the last page is for Sarah Yutzi for October services.
That is the, oh, go ahead, Margo.
That's a merchant's helper. That they hired maximum $8,000 for the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's working for them. Like
Oh, okay.
someone
Gotcha.
hired-
Yes.
I
yes,
think
yes,
that's
yes,
the,
yes. Gotcha.
Bed tax money?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Thank you.
yeah, I should have thought of that. Anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay. Anything else from anyone else with regard to the warrants? Payroll, anyone have any questions, issues about the payroll or the October monthly financial? If not, can I have a motion for approval of the items contained within the consent agenda?
I move that we approve those items within the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Collett. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion approved. With regard to folks who are here that might wish to make comment about what's on the agenda for action tonight, we may or may not take action with regard to expending funds to develop a downtown historical district. We may or may not purchase a truck. And those are really the only potential action items that I'm aware of. So anyone wish to speak to any of that? If not, we will move on. And we come to you then, Mark.
We have Mr. Ben Moore here tonight, who can make a presentation on completing your downtown historical district, and then has done work in Council Grove, Emporia, and a multitude of other towns. And he'll go through the pros, cons, and the advantages of it, and probably have a proposal for your next meeting to finish up
Okay.
the historical work that's already started.
Mr. Moore, if you don't mind coming over to the microphone, please. We live stream these, so we want to try to make sure people that are watching online can hear.
Okay, I'll try to use good language and not make any mistakes.
Our ratings go up if you don't use good language.
Well, if you guys don't remember, in 2019, I think COVID era, we did a downtown historic resource survey for you. That is essentially the first step with the State Historic Preservation Office to establish a downtown district, okay? So there was a lot of work that went into that. We even established what we thought could be a district for that. And we held a few public meetings as well during that process. And that is one of the things in this next step that is very important, is to have several public meetings for input, because every property owner in the potential district is notified by mail eventually from the state. So it's important to get everybody on board and understand all the benefits and the downsides too. It's always a double-edged sword with a historic district. We think it's something that is very valuable for a community this size. It really helps construction dollars. So no matter what happens when you do construction in this year, in a historic old building, it's gonna cost about $200 a square foot or more. It doesn't matter if you're here or in Wichita or in Emporia. I don't think you're gonna get it less than that. That's just the way it is. You know, toilets cost so much, plumbers cost so much, it just is. And the opportunity here, and it's really nice the way the state has this set up, it's a tiered system. So a community like yourselves actually would get 40% of qualified cost back to that property owner in historic tax credits. Now, if you're at a larger community, say like Emporia, it's not 40%, it's 30%. And then if you're in a town like Manhattan, it's only 25%. So it's a tiered system, and I give kudos to the state for doing that because it makes a lot of sense, because I've worked a lot in Council Grove and lived just north of there. It's a lot harder there than it is in Emporia to make things happen. So having that potentially for property owners is a big benefit. So you have the state tax credits. With a historic district, you would also have the federal historic tax credits as well. And those are 20%, that's federal law. So on a project, a potential building owner could get 60% back at the end of the day. Now it's a tax credit, so it's a little different than other things, but the state historic tax credit law is set up very nice. You can liquidate those very easily with the state. So in other words, they're transferable, very, very easy. So property owners a lot of times will utilize that, and on larger projects, banks like to buy them. So there's a great market for it. So people can get cash in their pocket after the construction project. So that's the pluses. The minuses are other people's monies, other people's rules, right? So you have to follow the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. So there's rules with that. There's certain things you can and can't do to a historic building to meet those guidelines and to meet the threshold to get those tax credits. So a lot of times there's a preservation consultant involved or an architect who knows that lingo and can help building owners follow the right path to make sure they get those tax credits. So there are hoops, and that's the downside, but I see it as a positive thing because it really, with the state, it helps get a level playing field, I feel, for small communities in Kansas. So like I said, you know, we completed the Historic Resource Survey in 2019. The next step would be to actually prepare the district nomination, review this at a public meeting, would be the smart thing to do as well, to talk about the district shape, size, what buildings are included within those boundaries. And that's in that report we did in 2019.
Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Oh, you
in
bet.
the middle?
You bet.
The one that was done in 19, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think in terms of going east, it stopped at Luda Creek. I don't think it crossed the creek. Is that?
That's correct.
Okay. If we wanted to modify that, is it still doable?
Oh, yeah, that's all part of the process. You guys have to be on board for the district, and you want to make sure the community's on board with those boundaries too.
Okay.
So that's all part of the process.
We've got a city-owned museum that's on the east side of the creek, and then what I think they bill it as the oldest school building in the state that's still being used for school, which can be good or bad depending on how you look at it, but it's on that side of the creek, so.
Well, you know, schools and cities can use that by selling those tax credits. We've seen that. The city of Emporia uses it all the time, and they don't use the tax credits, but they sell them, and it helps fund projects.
We put air conditioning in White Auditorium. It's all above the ceiling. That we got, at that time, it was 25%.
Yeah.
25% tax credits, which we sold.
And here, your air conditioner goes out 40%. The threshold is it has to be a $5,000 project or larger on the state tax credits. Not trying to complicate things, but to do the federal tax credit projects, it's usually a bigger project to qualify. So some of the other things, once we would prepare the draft nomination and we do a little more research on the final buildings that'll be in that district from what we did before, we submit that to Kansas SHPO. They'll give us feedback on what they want to see. They disagree or agree with certain things. We would communicate with you what those are, make those modifications, and it would go back to SHPO. And we have a great relationship with SHPO. We know we would get that approved, and then it would go to the Historic Resources Board for final vote. And once that's approved, it would be sent to the National Park Service. And so that time takes about 12 to 18 months. So it's not a short process. And there's a lot of time for community input, which again, I can't emphasize enough. It is very important to have that engagement done and to have a few meetings where people can understand what it is, because they are notified once it goes to the Historic Resources Board about the district. And it's always best that everybody's on board and everybody understands what we're doing ahead of time.
So you're talking about scheduling and publicizing however many, 2, 3, whatever, public meetings, invite the public, that's okay.
Yeah, it's something that we would answer questions about what are the tax credits, how it can help projects, those type of things. And we would talk about, the proposed district with whatever expansions you guys are talking about right now as well. The buildings within the district, which ones are contributing and which ones would be considered non-contributing. And that means they don't qualify for the tax credits, the non-contributing ones. And there were some in the footprint that were non-contributing.
Okay.
And that's because of the current condition of them in terms of architectural style. It's been modified in a way that doesn't work for the state standards. I would say, though, always there are ways to get buildings contributing in the future. Say, we've done this in Emporia and Council Grove, where a building's a non-contributor and some modifications can be done to it to get it contributing. You just have to work with the state and do all the right things, and then it opens the door for a larger project and help with that funding.
So within the footprint of the district, there would likely be buildings that are in it but not part of it.
Well, they're still considered in it, and when you have a building permit within that district, there is a review that SHPO does. It's a state law review. It's pretty light duty. They're just trying to make sure damage to that historic integrity is not happening.
So let's say that someone has a metal building that's within the footprint that I don't know whether it was constructed 10 years ago or 60 years ago, but now it's a metal covered building.
Sure.
They're looking to, they're going to make changes to their building. They're not necessarily applying for historic
Right.
preservation money.
Right.
Do they have to jump through some hoops that they wouldn't otherwise?
Typically what happens, it's on the city to submit that to the state law review.
Okay.
For normally, when you get a building permit, they have to submit some paperwork to you all to obtain a building permit. They go through code review, and during that same time period, that's sent for the state law review. And on something like that, I think you get a response at about 5 minutes from Robert at the state. He would just say, yeah, you're good to go.
Okay.
They're Kansans, they're easy to work with, they're good people. I would say that. There shouldn't be a fear on that. They're really trying to help small
So
towns.
practicality exists within this, okay.
Yeah, yeah, you bet. But if we're talking about, hey, the Elgin Hotel, it's beautiful, and it was done beautifully historic. If somebody, let's say, decided to put metal siding over the entire thing and cover it all up, the state would say, no, you can't, you shouldn't do that.
But there is a local, even in that case, there'd be a local appeal process.
That's right. At the end of the day, the city council can't override that.
What is SHPO?
The state Historic Preservation Office.
Okay.
It's one, architects start saying acronyms, I apologize.
You thought it was an evil clown, didn't you?
No, I think it's a good opportunity for the building owners in downtown, something to consider, for sure. And like Mark pointed out, there's a way around everything if you've got an issue.
And I talked about earlier today, you can include this building in your district also. So if you put in new air conditioning, for example, that'd be a relatively easy one. And get 30% or 40% back.
40%, yeah. So that's, it's a good deal for operational costs, because you gotta fix air conditioners.
So we need, if we want to go that route, we would need someone, and Mark is saying that you're the right someone, to, I guess, put together the final proposal that would then go to the historic preservation people.
That's right, yeah, but you're kind of on that, you completed the first step in 2019, and we would be doing that second step, preparing and submitting the district nomination.
Is that kind of, go
If
ahead.
you want, we bring an agreement back to you for Mr. Moore's services in a future meeting, but you'd hire him first and then he'd prepare that for you.
Who did the first step in 2019?
We did.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
And then did we just not go forward with it as a city, or?
Well, I think COVID
Oh,
happened.
gotcha, okay. That's probably enough said. Okay, I was just curious.
I think everybody didn't want to do a public meeting or didn't want to do anything else. We're like,
Sure.
we're gonna stay in our house for a while.
You mentioned that you'd worked on some buildings in Council Grove, or the district in Council Grove. Did you have something to do with some of the buildings as well?
Yeah, yes.
Are you the guys that did the old Council Grove National Bank building that was the McClinic Law Office?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's a bookstore now. It's really cool.
And the building owner gets good revenue from the apartments. And
Oh, I
there's
didn't even realize there's apartments upstairs?
upstairs and an Airbnb in the back, and then 2 apartments in the basement, actually.
There should be a little plaque up by the back of that little side entrance there.
Yes.
That was my first law office.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
there ought to be a historical sign up there.
Yeah. No, with the housing shortage in Kansas, there's lots of opportunities, I think, in downtown historic districts for apartments, and that does reach the next generation in a way that is pretty unique and something we've seen successful everywhere. So I would say that that's another plus with it too.
Can you give me, this is going to sound weird, but focus on the minuses a little bit. Is there something other than what you've mentioned?
Well, I mean, other people's money, other people's rules. Some
Yeah.
people are, in Kansas, are very libertarian, and they don't want any rules at all. And that's, some people have an issue with that. That is the negative side. Now, it's just, when you really look at the numbers in a community, I would suspect like Marion, I know in Council Grove, you gotta have it to make the numbers work, because in Council Grove, we have appraisal issues. If a building costs $2 million to renovate, in Council Grove, it won't appraise for $2 million. So how do you bridge that gap? Because the bank won't come to the table unless you've got something else, and that tax credits are one of the ways, because some of the buyers of those tax credits, come to the table too, because they're institutions. So I guess that's a plus. I went to a plus, but, sorry.
If you
He's
can
a
turn a
good
minus
salesman.
into a plus, that's okay.
salesman.
Yeah, well, that's good.
You know, always the building code stuff, you know, that's the other thing we see. I can't remember if you guys have the existing building code here as well, along with just the normal building code. Just having, if you only have the normal building code, there's not as many loopholes as if you have the existing building code, and it really helps some of the downtown buildings. I would say that's something.
We plan on adopting that.
Okay, that's what,
Yeah.
We don't have it currently, but only by reference.
Yeah.
Only by reference.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things that happen in historic buildings, like you're not gonna move a stair and you need to, and hey, there's different compliance methods you can do. But that is a challenge sometimes for, I think, building owners when that's not adopted. When you really get into one of these projects, there's just so many code challenges to make it safe. You have to make it safe. But there's different ways to apply it, and the existing building code was made really for downtown districts. So I think it's something you should consider in conjunction with that. Even if you didn't do the tax credits, I would definitely look at adopting the existing building code.
well, part of the reason that I'm interested in seeing us do this is I think we have people that either own buildings or would consider owning some of the buildings on Main Street and doing something to them, but it's just too expensive. Just putting a new roof on top of them will kill you.
Absolutely.
So-
100% agree, and, you know, I mentioned the plumber example. I think that's true for all the trades. You know, electricians, roofers, it is very expensive, and it doesn't matter if they're working in Wichita or Marion. You're gonna see that price point, and that's where I really like what the state did on the state tax credits, tiering it, because it can help a smaller community in a larger way.
I think I heard you say, when you said 40%, you said qualified costs. Are there things that would not fall under that, right, under the 40%?
Yes, there are things that don't qualify. So appliances don't qualify. Drapes and shades don't qualify. If you turned a building upside down and kind of shook it, and the stuff that fell out, you know, that's not permanent, wouldn't qualify. But all the plumbing, the electrical, mechanical, the real bones of a building, you know, that all is there and qualifies. But, you know, things that might last a year or two,
Sure.
they don't consider that. It doesn't meet the IRS threshold.
Are there certain qualifications you have to meet for contractors who do the work? Or is it?
That's really dependent on your guys' local, how you handle contractors locally.
Okay.
Amy, anything?
You did say one of the cons was time. I'm sure everything, you know, takes time, but if somebody wants a project done and paperwork submitted, is there quite a lengthy process in order to get that started to completion?
It's
Or-
gotten better, but it's
Yeah.
not, it is the government.
Yeah,
The state,
Hey, buddy, where do you think you are right now?
the state is usually fairly good about turning things around in 30 days. But if it's a state and federal project, it goes to the National Park Service in DC. And, you know, that can take a while. It can take 90 days. But it is a substantial amount of money if you're doing a larger project.
right.
Yeah.
The state ones, if it's a smaller project, it works really well, and they're really good about turning those around. But folks in DC, but I don't think anybody controls, so.
Other questions for Ben? So, I mean, I've already tipped my hand. I just think this could do a lot of good for our downtown and the periphery. It's not just Main Street. Mark, your idea is to ask Ben to give us a proposal that we can then review and potentially accept or
Right.
possibly deny.
We have a ballpark price to finish it, what needs to be done in order to submit it. And it's, I've checked around, it seemed very reasonable compared to the people in the marketplace.
Okay.
We can have him formalize something.
So are the tax credits, it's just off a renovation? So let's say that somebody puts a building up for sale and somebody goes in and buys it. You don't get any tax credit back from the building itself, it's just the renovation and improvements on it?
Just basically, any new construction that's done.
Gotcha.
Or repairs.
Gotcha.
But if you're gonna buy it, you're probably gonna wanna fix it up.
Well, yeah, I was just,
Yeah,
yeah.
gotcha.
And on the federal side, there's a bit of a formula where you have to spend more than what you bought the building for to qualify at all on the federal side.
Gotcha.
So that's why it usually lends to bigger projects.
Yeah. Unless there are other questions, thank you very much for coming.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you know your schedule? Would you be able to, do you want Ben to be here next meeting?
If you want him here, I'm sure he can, we can work that out. But you already heard the presentation, he'll
Yeah.
submit it, he'll give us an agreement.
Well, Council, would you, can just take a look at the presentation, or do we need to ask Ben to come back?
No, I think we could look
I
at the
think we just look at
presentation.
it.
We need to just
So-
see what the cost is.
Just, if you'd stay in touch with Mark, and then I guess worst case scenario, if we have questions that we feel like we really need you here to answer, then we'll ask you to come back
You
to
bet.
the meeting after that.
No problem. I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you, Mr. McInerney.
We'd like you to postpone this until the next meeting, we're still doing some research on it.
Okay. Public forum. Anyone here wish to address the council about anything at all?
Question would be to Ben, would the courthouse be able to sell tax credits if that was included? Do I understand what you're saying? Or county courthouse, would it?
I don't ever have to wait, I apologize, I'll never have to wait a second.
Would the county courthouse be able to sell tax credits like you said the school would be?
Any entity within the district that has a contributing building
Okay.
will be able to.
So I'm understanding that right? If the county would do a project on the courthouse, that would qualify. But they could just sell them, they don't, would not be in a tax entity.
It's just like,
Just wanted to clarify.
yeah, like how the city of Emporia does that on the William White Auditorium, we do that all the time.
Our audience is not hearing any of this, but he's going to be mad.
Yes, the courthouse would qualify.
Yes. okay.
Under
Thank you, Zach.
this.
All right, let's go to reports from staff. We'll start with Mark.
Oh, at your next meeting, John Deerdoff will be here to get, just to help start the next process, or the next step of the process to advertise and search for a new city administrator. We have a bid award, I believe. The truck should be back on the historical district if we're ready. And those are just 4 items.
I got a survey from the league from John.
Okay.
Has everyone received that?
Yep, I got that, I haven't completed it yet.
Yeah, okay. It says it takes 15 minutes. It took me longer than that, but it's not hard. It's just a matter of deciding what you want to answer. But, okay, go ahead. Is that it?
That's it.
Janet?
I just need you to appoint a KPP voting delegate.
The Kansas Power Pool. Where did I put that stuff?
Got it.
What's the name of the meeting, Mark? I can't find my notes. Oh.
KPP Energy
Here it
Annual
is, right
Members
here.
Meeting.
Yeah, I got it right here. Is Thursday, November 21st at 10 a.m. You can appear in person, or I assume it's online, so I assume it's it's by a Teams, which is another Zoom kind of thing. We need to have someone appointed. My thought guys guys and gal, to appoint Mark as our representative and allow him, if for whatever, actually to appoint the city administrator, with the understanding that if for some reason the city administrator can't attend, that he could designate someone in his place, which could be Stephen, or I guess one of you, if one of you were interested and wanted to be that designee, or if one of you wanted to be our person. Thoughts?
Have we done?
Was your date right on that? December 13th was what I had down.
Yeah.
Yeah, December 13th.
December 13th is that meeting.
That's a Friday.
Shows the 13th. I don't know if that's when you had to have somebody.
November
By November
29th.
29th, yeah, I have to have it back by then.
November 21st.
Mine here shows the 29th on that as well.
Voting delegate forms returned to the KP Energy office
I
by
think you
November
got some
29th.
outdated paper.
Yeah.
Well, I just got it. Well, it doesn't matter, I guess. The
Either
bottom
way.
line is.
Did you have this in your packet? What are you looking at?
I got
Something
this,
about
I'm
today?
looking
Email,
at
yeah.
what the KPP sent me.
Sent today.
Oh,
I don't think I got that. I
See,
didn't see
here
it.
was that voting delegate form and it shows the 29th
Yeah.
as well.
yeah.
I see what you're
That's what
looking
it
at.
is.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what they're.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm looking
Is it for
that's
the-
this.
at. I don't know
Right.
what he's got.
This is
Well-
an email.
I've got Kevin Burkholder, is a man who everyone trusts and loves, sitting here saying, it says November
It
21st.
I have it here,
Thursday,
too.
November 21st.
But that's we're kind of off in the weeds on that. The question is, who are we going to have as our delegate?
Have we used the city administrator in the past? I don't remember.
I
off the
do
top
not
of my
know.
head. You think so?
You know?
Yeah, we used,
Okay.
Brogan was our last
Okay.
one.
That's what I was kind of thinking, but thank you. Yeah,
I'm
It
fine
makes
with
sense
that.
to me.
Is
Mark
there
being
con-
in.
general
I'm fine with
consensus
Mark.
to me making that appointment? Okay, Mark,
Yes.
Yeah.
you are our official
And we'll name
delegate.
two alternates also,
Um,
for the record.
we need to name two
Well,
alternates.
the form said that there's on there. I would add two just in case something happened to anybody.
Well, if that takes away your ability to name a designee, unless you want to designate one of the two alternates, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were
Okay.
asking.
I would propose that Stephen would be
Right,
a logical one of those.
I concur with that.
Do we need that in any formal motion or anything?
I think it's a mayoral appointment with consent of the council.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
would just vote on it to make sure.
And I'd put, if you want to have two, that'd be perfect. I know Stephen will be here.
I'm looking, hang on a second. Call it. That's your committee.
What about it?
Electrical,
Yeah.
so you'd be the second alternate,
Oh, after Mark and
after
Stephen?
everybody we can think.
You're the last ditch effort. You're the last ditch effort.
You okay with that?
Sure.
Is the council okay with it?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
okay with that.
All right. Thank you, Janet. Anything else?
Nope.
Let's go back to Stephen, who's going to add to his resume. He's our first alternate for Kansas Power Pool. Anything from you?
No, everything's going good.
Okay. You're here. Margot?
Holly Jolly Christmas, November 30th, all day. Come see us, it'll be fun. Parade at 5:30.
Zach?
Nothing.
James?
Nothing much.
If you're going to talk, you got to come over here.
Oh, man, just don't talk then.
He's got nothing now.
You know, so there was a lot of questions about the State Historical Society and their response and stuff like that. And I worked quite a bit there in Council Grove with the State Historical Society and presenting projects. Ben would sometimes, the bigger projects, Ben would bring those drawings. And 30 days, we would hear back in 30 days. You know, after 30 days, they the project could proceed. So, there is a time limit on that, so.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yep.
He said they turned around pretty quick, but
They do.
what may be quick to one person isn't to the next, so.
Yeah.
Okay, anything, we'll start with Amy. Anything from you?
No, actually.
You're in good health again?
I am, just not my kids. Yeah.
Zach?
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything. Okay.
I'm good.
Do we have a,
Oh, thank you
Meeting.
for reminding me.
the,
Yeah.
workshop session coming up?
We had scheduled a study session for November 25th, I believe.
Yeah, a week from today.
Do we, and the question is, well, what are we going to talk about? We've got a number of things that certainly we could get you an agenda in advance if council wants to do it. I understand it's holiday season or coming into it, but what are your thoughts? Do you want to do a study session next Monday?
We haven't done one for a while, so I would like to
Yeah.
pick it back up again.
I'd probably be in favor of doing one.
It's fine with me.
Kevin?
Can make that work.
Do you want to stick with 5 o'clock? I know that, just because it's a study session doesn't make Kevin or Zach's drive back here any shorter or quicker. So you want to stick with 5?
I'm good with 5, yeah.
Okay, so 5 o'clock next Monday, November 25, study session. When you show up, we'll tell you where it's going to be, but I'll tell you right now, I'm pretty sure we'll just do it upstairs in the old council room. Yeah. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. No, I already did public forum, so motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, we're adjourned.
Anything that we need to sign, Janet? Anything you need us to sign?
We're doing that at 5 o'clock?
At 5, yes.
Schedule.
Nobody go anywhere.
You what?
I still have it on my schedule.
Yeah, I got it on mine
Yeah.
too. I'm sorry I didn't think to bring it up.
Thanks for reminding me.
Not a problem.
I had not put that in there. Well, it was a questionable one when we did it. I mean,
That's probably what I used to, today I made sure to let my computer update so that I didn't have to do like Zach did. And then I was looking at my packet and thought, well, I'll print out the agenda, the rest I bring on the computer. And I don't know how you make something stop printing once it's
And
decided
even
it's going
driving
to.
this morning.
It printed the entire packet.
So,
Well, I didn't intend to. I wanted to print the front page. And I know how to just
Driving or not
tell it,
driving, I don't like going.
print pages 1 to 3, 8 to 10, whatever. But
Yeah.
can't do
You
that.
can't hold it on the road hardly.
I think that'd be a huge benefit for that.
I think so too.
Where'd they go?
Who, what?
My papers.
I never signed it.
Mike packed them up.
Mike, did you pack them up?
Unpack
You
them,
can't,
please.
look, when I'm in a meeting, you
They're
guys, you can't just hand me crap.
We did,
The
we
meeting
did,
was
the
over.
meeting was
Yeah, it was
over.
done.
This
You
is
looked
way
at me.
over. Amy reminded me.
I think, you guys are so dumb.
We are.
How many meetings is it gonna take for you to figure this out? What do you,
Those are it. I just need your
what are you gonna do
signature.
if I don't?
this. Need ours too?
It was funny. Are you coming in tomorrow to sign checks?
I can.
Okay.
If you can't, just email.
Just if I, well, actually, I think I have a MAC meeting tomorrow, so I'll be up here for lunch anyway.
Okay.
I'll hold everything. I think I need to have some minutes I need to just sign.
Okay.
Kind of swapped off on, so I'll have those ready.
All right, thank you.
There's that.
Thank you.
Do you know, Mike, how much the initial cost will be for,
Thank you, Tim.
for, are we still being?
Dean?
Question for you.
For what?
Ben.